Eric Handley, SVP from the Weather Company. Thanks so much for coming down.
Thanks for having me.
Outstanding.
Nice.
Now, is it true that you guys have 100 million viewers across 3 screens? Someone told me that. Is that true? Tell us how that works.
It is. We are one of the largest multi-screen media properties out there, between the great users we have coming to our cable property every day, our web property, and our mobile phone and tablets. People are coming and experience all those platforms, so we do get over 100 million on every property through the course of a measurable period of time.
Wow. And so tell us a little bit about we're talking about mobile,
Sure.
tablets. Tell us a little bit about consumption on, I don't know if you break it down in terms of how much of that 100 million or how many people, but tell us a little bit about mobile use. Mobile meaning mobile phones, but also tablets.
Yeah. You know, having all these platforms, people come to us for different things, for different places. So the mobile has been huge for us. We're number 7 on the iPhone, number 2 on the iPad, and what we're finding is 20% of our users are starting their day with our mobile property and 20% of our users are ending their day with our mobile property. The only one who beats us is the end of the day with Facebook. So weather is such a huge part of everybody's life. So you start your day, what am I going to wear? How am I going to get to work? What am I going to do with the kids? And then during the day, people are checking it again. So we find that 70+% of our users are checking the weather at least twice a day. So it provides this great opportunity for advertisers to tell stories. I get up in the morning, here's what I'm going to do. I check it during the day. How am I going to get home? What am I going to do for dinner? And then checking it again to figure out the weekend. So we have this really great opportunity to storytell across the day, whether that's in display ads, whether that's in video ads, and it allows us to promote other things. So you check the weather on your phone, you see something interesting, you go to the web to get a better experience, bigger video when you're at your office, and then you can check it and see, oh, it's the anniversary of Sandy. There's going to be a big special on our cable network. So we're able to use all of our properties to drive people around. And really, there's an audience that uses the mobile properties as the anchor, and there's an audience that uses the cable properties as an anchor, and there's the people who use the web in between. But we're able to move them back and forth through those experiences, depending on what kind of the story. We really think of it as this idea of come for the weather, stay for the channel. You're going to check the forecast, but you only really care about the forecast because you're going to do something else. If I say it's 69 and sunny and El Paso, you just say, okay, great, I'm not going there. But if I say, hey, it's going to probably rain at 4 o'clock today in New York, you're going to start to think of how am I going to get home? What do I have going on tonight? So it's really about what you're going to do with that. And we're able to use that mobile experience as an anchor for people.
So when people sign up, they generally enter their zip code.
It's the best thing about this Geolocal local.
So this Geolocal thing you have going on in kind of a unique way. How does the Geolocal and the whole registration, not registration, but putting in the zip code help you guys in the so-called addressability of mobile advertising, and what's that value to the brands?
It's a great question. We say at the company that location is the new cookie. That for everyone who comes to us, if you want the real experience from weather, you need to tell us where you are. And what we find is you put in your zip code where you are. Like, I want to know the weather in 114 or wherever we are in New York. And if you're going somewhere, you're going to put in the city. So, I have to go to San Francisco next week, you put in the city. So we get a lot of information from the user because what they tell us gives them a better experience. And what we've been able to do, it's been the big new strategy in the company since David Kenny and Kurt Heck, 2 former Publicis guys, came, of this idea of weather effects. How do you take sales data and weather data down to the local zip code level? So there's 44,000 zip codes. People are telling us that. There are 40+ weather conditions. So we work with our partners to say, okay, let's get the sales data and the weather data, and we'll marry it together. So we know for any given brand, these are the sales patterns we see in this zip code at this time. And we're able to marry that and activate the media on it. So it's that value exchange. Our users tell us where they are because they want to know the weather either hourly or half hourly or 5-day or 3-day, and then we can work with the advertising partners to layer in the sales data, sales information, say in Midtown, these are the things that happen when it's humid. Upper East Side, these are the things. And one advertiser can literally layer in, like a Google campaign, the time, place, and the weather, and fire different creative for different conditions on the same day.
So what are you finding works creatively in mobile? Again, we're talking about mobile phones in terms of advertising units, and tell us about sort of the range of media that you're offering.
Sure.
And it's kind of like what's working and what's not,
Sure.
and where it might be going.
Sure. Being the weather company, so much of what we do is tied to the weather. So we have a lot of partners who use that weather data to essentially drive the creative. We did a big campaign for Disney's Oz movie you check the weather and you get an image from the movie that's related to the movie. So if you're in New York and it's sunny, it's a sunny picture of the characters in Oz on the set. If you're in Seattle where it always rains, you check the weather, you get an image of a gloomy, dark Oz set. And it was one of the highest driving ticket purchases through their online service because it was tied to the weather, it was relevant to that situation, so they were really happy.
What does that look like? It's sort of an interstitial, or what is
It's a full branded background.
Okay.
So if you look at our app, we don't run them all the time yet. We're going to increase them more and more. Again, we want to make sure we balance that user feeling with it, and they actually liked it. But instead of just seeing the weather on a black background or the background you chose, it would have a branded background. So here's the weather, here's the sun, the current temperatures, and then there's a beautiful image. It all started with a campaign we did for Burberry at the Olympics last year, that you check the weather, same kind of thing as the Disney Oz, but instead of seeing Disney, because it was Burberry, you would see a sunny picture of a London Olympic venue. If you were in a sunny situation, you'd see a rainy Olympic venue if you were in a rainy thing, and it brought that idea that Burberry owned bad weather or rain to you wherever you are. So it's an added value. It's instead of, you get a beautiful image, the advertiser's message is related to the context of the weather versus just being an ad on the page. And it's been really productive. The other thing we see, if outside the creative, you just tie the message to the weather. So we did a great campaign for Pantene this summer where it was all about hair care products, and it was triggered on the weather, and we and Procter got really lucky, and it ran the week before the big heat wave in New York. So if you check the weather first thing in the morning, you'd say, this is the right Pantene product for humidity, this will make your hair nice. But if you were in San Francisco and it wasn't so hot and humid, you'd get an ad for a different product. It was all tied to the weather, and then it drove to the local Walmart. So you could literally say, this is the product I need for this weather conditions, and here's a place to get it. So those are the things that have been really productive and beneficial for us and our partners. Of the weather is our context, the ad provides added value to the user.
And let's just finish up on the content side. You guys have made a big commitment to original video. You've built, hired staff, built studios. This is outside of the cable operation, but web-specific video. Tell us how that's going, and how that's sort of being syndicated, where it's seen, and,
sure.
and the opportunities for brands around your web original video.
Sure. Yeah, about a year and a half ago, when we really got kind of big into the business, when Dave and Kurt took over, we invested in long-form video on our digital properties. What we were finding, again, is people came for the forecast, but they were just curious about weather-related things. So they love the natural world, they love animals, they love the science behind weather. So what we want to do is really connect that weather forecast to these things they like. And we got a huge spike on that, and people continue to come back to see these stories. So we launch an original show once a month, 6 to 7 3-minute series. We can have an advertiser sponsor it, we can have an advertiser integrated into it. It runs all across our properties. We're going now from what happens on our digital properties onto cable, taking the same story. So either it's here's the web series and here's a version that runs on cable, or going the other way and saying this is one of our great cable properties, take the DVD extras and we'll run that on the web. So we have great shows about prospectors, of these guys in Colorado who spend lots of time in the mountain looking for valuable rocks, and it runs on the cable property, but then you can come on the digital side and find out more about the characters, the weather conditions there. And so people really want to bring these characters to life. And the core to all the long form video we do, whether it's on cable or it's on the digital property, is weather is a character in the scenario. It's a prime character, part of the story, part of the conditions, part of the drama is what the weather's doing to these people.
Great, thank you.
Thank you very much.